in the tranquil, tree-lined avenues of suburban neighborhood, a place that promised both the quietude of residential life and convenient proximity to urban amenities. Three young women embarked on a significant and highly anticipated new chapter. Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, all in their early 20s, shared a common ambition: to forge their own independent paths. This ambition was intertwined with practical need to manage living expenses, making the decision to share a home not just desirable, but economically sound. Their bond was rooted in years of friendship, built on mutual trust and shared experiences, which made the prospect of living together a natural and exciting progression of their relationship. For months, they had meticulously planned this moment, envisioning a shared space that would serve as their personal sanctuary, a place where they could build lasting memories, offer unwavering support to one another, and truly embrace the newfound freedoms of their adult lives. Their search for the ideal apartment was a diligent process that spanned several weeks, involving countless viewings and careful consideration of various locations. They ultimately discovered what appeared to be the perfect unit: a charming, spacious apartment nestled within a well-maintained, unassuming building. The apartment itself boasted an abundance of natural light that poured in through large windows, illuminating a layout that promised both ample communal areas for shared laughter and private retreats for individual solace. Its design seemed to perfectly balance the need for togetherness with the necessity of personal space. The neighborhood itself contributed significantly to its appeal. It was peaceful and predominantly residential, yet strategically located near essential public transport routes, quaint local cafes, vibrant parks, and convenient grocery stores, offering the best of both suburban calm and urban accessibility. It felt like a fresh start, a metaphorical clean slate upon which they could confidently write the next exciting and independent pages of their lives. The day of their move-in was a whirlwind of activity, characterized by the cheerful chaos inherent in beginning something new. Boxes, packed with the accumulated belongings of their individual lives, were systematically unpacked and strategically arranged. Furniture, a mix of cherished hand-me-downs and new, budget-friendly acquisitions, was maneuvered into place, transforming empty rooms into inviting living spaces. The air was thick with the palpable excitement of new beginnings and the faint scent of cardboard and fresh paint. Laughter echoed freely through the hallways as they playfully debated decor choices, shared impromptu takeout meals spread across the floor, and meticulously planned the intricate details of their new routines. They envisioned countless shared moments: late-night conversations, communal cooking sessions, movie nights, and supported discussions about their respective careers and personal journeys. The apartment quickly began its transformation from a mere vacant space into a genuine home, imbued with their collective energy, individual personalities, and shared aspirations. Each carefully placed item, each shared smile, each moment of collaborative effort, solidified their growing sense of belonging and the promise of a harmonious future. However, despite this undeniably joyful and optimistic start, a practical consideration soon became undeniably apparent: the financial weight of the monthly rent. While the cost was manageable for three, albeit comfortably, the addition of a fourth roommate would significantly ease their financial burden. This would allow for more breathing room in their individual budgets, reducing daily financial stress, and perhaps even affording them the luxury of a slightly larger living space or more frequent leisure activities. The idea of introducing a new person into their already carefully cultivated and harmonious dynamic was approached with a healthy dose of caution and a shared sense of profound responsibility. They engaged in extensive discussions, weighing the pros and cons at length, meticulously prioritizing factors such as compatibility, mutual respect, and, above all else, personal safety. They understood that inviting a stranger into their home was a significant step, one that required thorough consideration. With these priorities firmly in mind, they meticulously drafted a detailed advertisement. This ad, placed strategically online and through local community boards, outlined not only the practical aspects of the room for rent, but also their specific expectations for a clean, respectful, and friendly living environment. It emphasized the collaborative nature of their household and their desire for a compatible personality. This advertisement marked the official beginning of their search for a fourth member to join their harmonious household, a decision they firmly believed would only enhance their new beginning, adding further stability and shared enjoyment to their independent lives. They were eager to find someone who would fit seamlessly into their existing dynamic, someone who genuinely shared their vision of a welcoming, supportive, and independent home. This new chapter, they believed, was just getting started, promising even greater comfort and shared experiences. The meticulously drafted advertisement for a fourth roommate, carefully placed by Emily, Sarah, and Jessica across various online platforms and local community boards, began to yield a steady stream of inquiries. The trio had anticipated a diverse pool of applicants, each with their own unique personalities and living habits, and they approached the entire vetting process with a collective sense of profound responsibility. They understood that bringing a new individual into their established domestic harmony was a significant decision, one that required more than just a cursory glance at applications. They conducted numerous initial phone interviews, politely but firmly declining those candidates whose responses or perceived personalities did not seem to align with their already well-established, harmonious living dynamic. Their criteria were clear and unwavering. They sought someone who exhibited reliability, a strong sense of cleanliness, and a genuinely respectful disposition. They were not merely looking for someone to split the rent. They actively sought a housemate who would genuinely contribute to and enhance the positive, supportive atmosphere of their cherished home. Among the various responses that filtered in, one particular inquiry quickly distinguished itself. It arrived in the form of a detailed and articulate email from a woman named Lisa. Her initial written communication was both thoughtful and precise, expressing a genuine and specific interest in the apartment and carefully outlining her perceived compatibility with a roommate's stated preferences for a quiet, respectful living environment. She presented herself with an air of understated confidence, describing her professional background as stable and her lifestyle as largely quiet and focused. This detailed, seemingly unassuming self-description appealed directly to the trio's expressed desire for a mature, responsible, and unobtrusive housemate. Her communication style was consistently polite and refreshingly unassuming, immediately setting her apart from some more casual, vague, or even demanding inquiries they had received from other prospective tenants. Intrigued by her well-composed message and seemingly ideal profile, the three women collectively decided to invite Lisa for an in-person interview at the apartment. From the very moment she stepped to the front door of their charming new home, Lisa presented an almost impeccable facade. Her smile appeared genuine, her eyes conveyed a sense of warmth, and her manners were, to all appearances, flawless. She engaged effortlessly in polite conversation, asking thoughtful and pertinent questions about their established routines, their shared interests, and the practical intricacies of living together in a communal space. She seemed genuinely eager to fit seamlessly into their existing dynamic, expressing unbridled enthusiasm for the apartment's spacious layout, its abundance of natural light, and the overall peaceful nature of the surrounding neighborhood. Her responses to their carefully formulated questions about her own habits were consistently reassuring. She described herself as an inherently tidy person who deeply valued peace and quiet, and she spoke with a quiet confidence that immediately inspired a significant degree of trust among the trio. Crucially, Lisa arrived at the interview meticulously prepared with what appeared to be an array of convincing references. She readily provided comprehensive contact information for a previous landlord and a former employer, both of whom, when dutifully contacted by Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, offered nothing but glowing commendations. The former landlord described Lisa as an exemplary tenant, one who consistently paid her rent promptly and always maintained an impeccably clean and orderly living space. The former employer spoke in high regard of her dedication, professionalism, and reliability in a work setting. These references, seemingly legitimate, thorough, and overwhelmingly positive, served to effectively alleviate any lingering doubts or subtle hesitations the three women might have harbored. They felt they had diligently gone through all the proper channels, conducted their extensive due diligence, and that every single indication suggested that Lisa was, without question, a responsible, highly desirable, and perfectly compatible roommate. After a period of careful deliberation, weighing all the positive indicators, Emily, Sarah, and Jessica reached a unanimous agreement. They would enthusiastically welcome Lisa into their home. The decision felt undeniably right, a logical and beneficial step in solidifying their comfortable living situation and significantly easing their collective financial burden. They meticulously drew up a comprehensive roommate agreement, openly discussing expectations for shared chores, equitable division of expenses, and fostering mutual respect within their living space. Lisa readily signed the agreement, appearing eager to comply with all stated terms and conditions. Her move-in process itself was notably smooth and uneventful. She arrived with a modest number of boxes, primarily containing clothes and essential personal items, and quickly settled into her designated bedroom with minimal fuss. There were no discernible red flags, no hesitations in her movements, or any inconsistencies in her explanations that might have raised suspicion. She promptly paid her first month's rent and security deposit without delay, further cementing their already strong initial positive impression. For the first few weeks following Lisa's arrival, the dynamic within the apartment remained outwardly harmonious, seemingly undisturbed. Lisa was quiet and often kept to herself, but her presence was unobtrusive, fitting seamlessly into their established routine. She meticulously honored the shared spaces, consistently maintained cleanliness in the communal areas, and her contributions to household chores were both timely and reliable. She was polite in passing, offering a small, unassuming smile or a brief, cordial greeting. The initial relief of having successfully secured a responsible and seemingly ideal fourth roommate settled comfortably over Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, allowing them to resume their individual routines with a newfound sense of financial ease and domestic stability. They felt a profound sense of accomplishment, believing they had expertly navigated the complexities of finding a compatible housemate, and that their new beginning, fortified by the addition of Lisa, was unfolding exactly as they had meticulously envisioned. The subtle, underlying current of unease, however, had yet to surface, lurking just beneath the placid surface of their shared domesticity. For the first few weeks after Lisa moved into the charming apartment, the rhythm of shared living seemed to flow seamlessly. Emily, Sarah, and Jessica experienced the initial relief of having found what appeared to be an ideal fourth housemate. Lisa maintained a quiet presence. Her contributions to household chores were consistent, and her rent payments were prompt. In passing, she offered polite greetings and small, unassuming smiles, fitting unobtrusively into the background of their busy lives. The harmonious atmosphere that the trio had carefully cultivated remained seemingly undisturbed, solidifying their belief that their careful vetting process had been a resounding success. However, as the weeks stretched into months, subtle shifts in Lisa's behavior began to emerge, initially almost imperceptible, then gradually becoming more pronounced and undeniably peculiar. These were not overt acts of aggression or defiance, but rather a series of small, accumulating anomalies that, when viewed individually, might have been dismissed as mere eccentricities, but collectively began to paint a disquieting picture. One of the first patterns that began to raise questions was Lisa's increasing reclusiveness. While she had always presented herself as quiet, her tendency to keep to herself became more pronounced. She rarely joined Emily, Sarah, and Jessica in the common areas, preferring to remain in her room, even when they were all home. Invitations to shared meals or movie nights were politely but consistently declined, always with vague excuse about being tired or having work to do. Her interactions became brief, almost transactional, reducing her presence in the apartment to little more than a phantom roommate who occasionally materialized to use the kitchen or bathroom. This consistent withdrawal, while not outwardly harmful, slowly chipped away at the initial warmth and openness the trio had hoped to foster. Adding to this growing sense of isolation was Lisa's unwavering habit of locking her bedroom door at all times. Whether she was inside the room or out of the apartment, the click of the lock was a constant, almost ritualistic sound. This was a stark contrast to Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, who often left their doors ajar, comfortable in their shared space and trusting of each other. While a locked door might seem a minor detail, its consistent application created an invisible barrier, signaling a profound desire for privacy that bordered on secrecy. It subtly communicated a lack of trust, fostering an atmosphere of unease and making the apartment feel less like a shared home and more like a collection of separate, compartmentalized units. The women sometimes wondered what could be so private that it required such constant concealment, their imaginations beginning to stir with unanswered questions. The most unsettling pattern, however, was Lisa's nocturnal activity. She was often seen leaving the apartment late at night, typically long after Emily, Sarah, and Jessica had retired for the evening. Her departures were silent, almost furtive, as if she wished to go unnoticed. She would slip out, sometimes carrying a small, nondescript bag, and return hours later, often in the very early hours of the morning, just before dawn. Her returns were equally stealthy, marked by the faint creak of the front door and the quiet click of her bedroom lock. The other roommates, awakened by these subtle disturbances or noticing the time on their clocks, began to question the nature of her late-night excursions. What was she doing out so late, so consistently, and with such secrecy? They exchanged questioning glances in the mornings, their unspoken concerns growing with each passing night. Beyond her movements, strange noises began to emanate from Lisa's room. These weren't the sounds of someone sleeping or quietly reading. They were odd, intermittent sounds, faint scratching, muffled thumps, and sometimes a peculiar clicking or whirring noise that defied easy explanation. The sounds were subtle enough to be initially dismissed, perhaps as the building's settling or external disturbances, but their persistence and peculiar nature eventually became too distinct to ignore. Emily, Sarah, and Jessica would sometimes pause in their own rooms, listening intently, trying to discern the source of the peculiar sounds. A low, continuous hum, then a sudden, sharp rap. What could she possibly be doing in there, late at night, that created such unusual noises? The mystery of these sounds further intensified their growing apprehension, weaving an increasingly complex tapestry of unease around Lisa's presence. As these unsettling behaviors continued, the once harmonious atmosphere of the apartment began to subtly shift. The initial warmth gave way to a pervasive sense of caution. The women found themselves instinctively lowering their voices when Lisa was nearby, a silent acknowledgement of the strange tension her presence brought. Their demeanor around her became increasingly reserved, a mirroring of her own reclusiveness. The initial trust they had placed in her, born from her convincing references and polite demeanor, slowly eroded, replaced by a nagging suspicion. They found themselves exchanging concerned glances, holding hushed conversations about her odd habits when Lisa was out of the apartment. Each tried to make sense of the accumulating puzzle pieces. They struggled to reconcile the friendly, well-mannered woman they had interviewed with the increasingly strange, secretive occupant of the fourth bedroom. The charming apartment, once a symbol of their independence and shared dreams, now felt subtly altered, its comfort tinged with a growing, indefinable sense of foreboding, as the mystery of their unsettling roommate deepened with each passing day. The feeling that something was amiss was no longer just a fleeting thought. It was a persistent, chilling undercurrent that tightened its grip on their perception of their home. The growing unease within the apartment, fueled by Lisa's increasingly unsettling behavior and the persistent, unexplained noises from her room, had reached a tipping point. Emily, Sarah, and Jessica found themselves caught in a silent, creeping apprehension that permeated their once comfortable home. Their hushed conversations, often held in the kitchen or living room when they were certain Lisa was out, revolved almost entirely around her mysterious activities. They traded observations, speculated on possibilities, and wrestled with the unsettling realization that their once-ideal living situation was becoming tinged with a pervasive sense of foreboding. They tried to rationalize her actions, attributing them to extreme shyness, a demanding secret job, or perhaps even a quirky hobby. But the rationalizations felt increasingly hollow against the backdrop of her constant reclusiveness, the ever-locked door and the strange, inexplicable sounds. The moment of truth arrived on an otherwise ordinary afternoon. Lisa had left the apartment earlier in the day, presumably for one of her regular, unannounced outings. The remaining roommates were going about their routines. Emily was working in her room, Sarah was preparing a meal in the kitchen, and Jessica was reading in the living room. Suddenly, a distinct and unusually loud thud resonated from Lisa's room. It was a heavy, unmistakable sound, as if something substantial had fallen or been knocked over with considerable force. The sound cut through the domestic quiet, startling all three women. A beat of silence followed, thick with uncertainty. Then a second lighter clatter followed the initial thud, suggesting a cascade of items. Emily, Sarah, and Jessica exchanged wide-eyed glances. The sound was too pronounced, too immediate, to be dismissed as the building's settling or an external noise. A shared, unspoken concern propelled them towards Lisa's closed, locked door. Knocking hesitantly, they called out her name, receiving no reply, only the continued, eerie silence from within. Their initial concern quickly morphed into genuine alarm. What if she had left something fragile, precariously balanced? What if something dangerous had happened inside, even with her absence? Their minds raced, trying to find a logical explanation for the unexpected disturbance. After a few more moments of hesitant discussion and unanswered calls, a collective decision formed. The persistent, loud noises from behind that perpetually locked door had finally become too alarming to ignore. This was beyond mere curiosity. It was a matter of legitimate concern for the integrity of their shared living space, and a growing apprehension about the hidden world behind that barrier. One of them, feeling a surge of determination overriding her trepidation, used a spare key they kept for emergencies, a key they had never thought they would need to use for Lisa's room. With a soft click, the lock disengaged and the door swung slowly inward, revealing the unsettling truth. The sight that met their eyes was not what they expected. No broken pipe, no fallen shelf. Instead, the room was in a state of carefully orchestrated disarray, a cold, clinical environment that immediately struck them as profoundly disturbing. The source of the thud was clear. A small portable safe, previously hidden from view, had apparently tipped over from a shelf, spilling some of its contents onto the floor. But it was not the fallen safe itself that sent a chill down their spines. It was what lay scattered around it, and what they saw meticulously arranged elsewhere in the room. The first objects that drew their terrified attention were photographs, dozens of them, meticulously organized and thumbtacked to a corkboard hidden behind a curtain. These were not generic landscapes or family portraits. These were photographs of Emily, Sarah, and Jessica themselves. They were candid shots, taken without their knowledge or consent. Emily walking to her car, Sarah leaving for work, Jessica returning from a run. Some were close-ups, taken from a distance, capturing intimate moments. Others were blurry, as if taken hastily from a hidden vantage point. A profound sense of violation washed over them. Their personal lives, their daily movements, had been meticulously documented, their privacy utterly breached. This was not the behavior of a normal roommate. It was the chilling practice of a stalker. Next, their eyes fell upon a meticulously organized desk. Here, they discovered detailed notes about their daily routines. There were precise schedules of their work hours, their class times, their gym sessions, and their social engagements. Each note documented their habits, their preferred coffee shops, the routes they took to work, even the times they typically went to bed. These weren't casual observations. They were comprehensive, almost obsessive records. There were also notes detailing their personal preferences, their favorite foods, their clothing styles, their musical tastes, and snippets of private conversations they had held in the living room, transcribed with unnerving accuracy. This level of granular detail indicated prolonged, meticulous surveillance, a chilling dedication to understanding every aspect of their lives without their knowledge. The sheer invasiveness of these notes was sickening, revealing a disturbing fixation that went far beyond mere curiosity. Among these horrifying notes and photographs, they found a collection of personal belongings that definitively did not belong to Lisa. There were hair ties that looked exactly like Emily's, a distinct scarf that Sarah had been searching for, and a small, sentimental charm bracelet that Jessica had believed lost weeks ago. These items, seemingly minor on their own, became profoundly disturbing in this context. They were not just misplaced. They had been deliberately collected, stolen from the women's rooms or from communal areas, serving as macabre trophies of Lisa's hidden obsession. The realization that Lisa had been systematically taking their personal items, hoarding them in her secret lair, was a terrifying confirmation of her malevolent intent. The room itself, despite the initial disarray caused by the fallen safe, was otherwise sterile and unwelcoming, devoid of any personal touches that might indicate a healthy, normal life. There were no family pictures, no comforting books, no personal mementos that spoke of warmth or connection. Instead, the few other items present felt cold, functional, and deeply disturbing. A pair of high-powered binoculars, a long-lens camera, and a collection of lock-picking tools, all lying openly on a shelf. The room was not a personal sanctuary. It was a strategic control center, a surveillance hub meticulously organized for intrusive observation and illicit activity. The collective impact of these discoveries was immediate and overwhelming. The initial unease transformed into raw terror. The women were no longer merely unsettled. They were terrified. The charming apartment, once a symbol of their independence, now felt like a terrifying trap. The woman they had welcomed into their home, the person whose references had been so convincing, was not who she claimed to be. Her quiet demeanor, her locked door, her late-night excursions, all of it now clicked into place, revealing a sinister, calculated plan. Their lives, their privacy, and their very safety had been compromised in the most profound and chilling way imaginable. The reality of Lisa's true nature crashed down upon them, leaving them breathless with visceral fear that demanded immediate, decisive action. They knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that they had stumbled upon an evil secret, one that threatened their very existence. The horrifying discoveries within Lisa's room, the clandestine photographs, the obsessive notes detailing their routines, and the collection of stolen personal belongings, shattered any lingering illusions Emily, Sarah, and Jessica had about their roommate. The apartment, once a symbol of their independence and shared dreams, now felt like a terrifying, compromised space. Their initial fear gave way to a cold, hard resolve. They had to involve the authorities. The danger was palpable, undeniable, and immediate. They understood that this was no longer a matter of an eccentric roommate. It was a sinister plot, and their safety was profoundly at risk. The decision to call the police was unanimous and immediate, overriding the shock and the instinctive desire to flee. They knew they needed professional intervention. With trembling hands, Sarah dialed the emergency number, her voice tight with suppressed panic as she recounted the unbelievable story to the dispatcher. She explained the strange noises, the locked door, and then the chilling discovery of the hidden items. Within minutes, uniformed officers were at their door, their presence a mixture of authority and initial skepticism, as they often encountered roommate disputes that were less sinister in nature. However, the officers' initial skepticism quickly dissipated as Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, speaking in turns, their voices laced with residual fear, but resolute in their accounts, laid out the evidence. They described the progression of Lisa's unsettling behavior, detailing her reclusiveness, her furtive late-night excursions, and the inexplicable sounds from her room. Then, they led the officers into Lisa's bedroom, carefully pointing out the meticulously organized corkboard filled with their candid, unauthorized photographs. They highlighted the desk laden with detailed notes on their daily routines, their personal preferences, and even snippets of their private conversations. They showed the collection of stolen personal belongings, each item a silent testament to Lisa's disturbing fixation. The officers, trained to recognize the signs of serious intent, immediately grasped the gravity of the situation. This was not a misunderstanding. It was a deeply disturbing pattern of surveillance and invasion. Realizing the potential depth of the threat, the local officers immediately escalated the case, bringing in specialized detectives who had experience with stalking and psychological profiling. A full-scale investigation was launched, treating Lisa's room as a meticulously preserved crime scene. Forensic teams were called in, systematically collecting every piece of evidence, from the hidden cameras they suspected might be present, to the various tools and documents found within her meticulously organized yet terrifying lair. Every photograph, every handwritten note, every stolen trinket was carefully cataloged and bagged as evidence. Through the course of their investigation, authorities quickly uncovered that Lisa was not who she claimed to be. The identity she had presented, complete with her seemingly convincing references, was a fabrication. Her real name was uncovered through advanced facial recognition software and cross-referencing with national databases, revealing a true identity that was connected to a deeply disturbing past. This woman, it turned out, had a history. Her real identity was linked to a chilling series of stalking incidents in another state, incidents that had escalated from obsessive observation to terrifying harassment of previous targets. There were records of restraining orders, police reports, and even a prior arrest for a similar pattern of disturbing behavior, though she had managed to evade serious prosecution before by fleeing jurisdictions. She was a master of deception, adept at creating new personas to infiltrate unsuspecting lives. The evidence meticulously gathered from her room at the apartment further confirmed the horrifying reality of her intentions. The detailed notes about the roommate's daily routines were not merely records. They were clearly a blueprint for future actions. Investigators found diagrams of the apartment's layout, complete with escape routes and annotations detailing the women's individual sleeping patterns and vulnerabilities. There were chilling handwritten entries outlining potential scenarios, suggesting meticulous and deeply disturbing level of premeditation. This was not merely stalking for observation. It was stalking with intent to harm. The discovery of specific tools, such as a lockpicking set and even a small, disguised camera, provided concrete evidence of her manipulative and intrusive methods. The photographs, far from being a bizarre hobby, were likely part of her method of psychological control, demonstrating her intimate knowledge of their lives. The collective weight of the evidence suggested that Lisa had been actively planning to harm her roommates. The escalation from observation to detailed planning was a terrifying progression. Her motive remained unclear, perhaps rooted in a deep-seated psychological disorder, a perverse desire for control, or a twisted fascination. But her intent was unambiguous. Her infiltration into their lives was not for shared rent or companionship, but for a far more sinister purpose. The full scope of her dangerous secret was now horrifyingly apparent. The women's decision to investigate the loud thud, born of fleeting concern, had inadvertently exposed a meticulously crafted plot that, had it gone unnoticed, could have led to a far more devastating outcome. They had narrowly escaped becoming the next victims in a chilling pattern of obsessive and dangerous behavior, saved by a stroke of chance and their own courage to act on their mounting dread. The quiet neighborhood had unknowingly harbored a true wolf in sheep's clothing, and the women, once so excited about their new beginning, were now reeling from the terrifying realization of how close they had come to unimaginable harm. The chilling revelations uncovered by the authorities confirmed the darkest fears of Emily, Sarah, and Jessica. The woman they had welcomed into their home, Lisa, was not merely an eccentric roommate. She was a dangerous predator, an individual with a deeply disturbing history of stalking and a clear intent to inflict harm. The apartment, once a haven of independence, was now unequivocally a crime scene, a chilling testament to how close they had come to unimaginable peril. With the overwhelming evidence in hand, the clandestine photographs, the meticulously detailed notes on their daily routines, the pilfered personal belongings, and the confirmed history of stalking in other states, law enforcement acted swiftly and decisively. Lisa was apprehended and taken into custody, her reign of silent terror brought to an abrupt and definitive end. The arrest itself was likely a moment of profound, if surreal, relief for the women, a tangible assertion of justice in the face of such a terrifying deception. Following her arrest, Lisa was formally charged with multiple serious offenses, including identity theft for fabricating her persona, stalking for her obsessive surveillance and intrusion into their lives, and attempted assault, a charge reflecting the clear and present danger her meticulous planning had posed to their physical safety. The weight of these charges underscored the gravity of her intentions and profound threats she had posed. The legal proceedings that followed her arrest were a methodical process of accountability. The prosecution meticulously presented the chilling evidence gathered from Lisa's room, the surveillance photos, the comprehensive daily schedules, the apartment diagrams with strategic notes, and the disturbing collection of personal items that served as trophies of her invasion. The police reports from other states detailing her prior stalking incidents were introduced, painting a clear pattern of dangerous obsession and an escalating propensity for harm. Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, though deeply traumatized by the experience, provided their courageous testimonies, recounting their growing unease, the strange noises, and the horrifying moment of discovery. Their collective accounts, delivered with raw honesty, serve as a powerful testament to the psychological distress Lisa had inflicted. The legal system, in this instance, functioned as a crucial bulwark, systematically dismantling Lisa's deceptive facade and holding her accountable for her criminal intentions. The trial culminated in her conviction, and she was sentenced to a significant term in prison, ensuring that she would no longer pose a threat to unsuspecting individuals. For Emily, Sarah, and Jessica, the arrest and conviction of Lisa brought a profound, albeit complex, sense of relief. The immediate terror of living alongside a hidden predator was over. They no longer had to fear the sound of her locked door or the furtive late-night movements. However, the emotional aftermath of their ordeal was far from over. It was just beginning. They were left deeply traumatized. The violation of their personal space, the chilling realization that their every move had been meticulously monitored, and the knowledge that a stranger had harbored such malevolent intentions towards them left indelible psychological scars. The sense of security they had once taken for granted, both within their home and in their daily lives, was profoundly shattered. The immediate period following Lisa's arrest was marked by a pervasive feeling of vulnerability. Their charming apartment, once a symbol of independence, now felt tainted, haunted by the insidious presence of their former roommate. They found it difficult to trust, to relax, to feel truly safe in their own beds. Every unfamiliar sound, every unexpected shadow, could trigger a surge of anxiety. Recognizing the depth of their emotional wounds, all three women sought professional psychological support. Therapists specializing in trauma helped them process the violation, to reclaim their sense of agency, and to rebuild their shattered trust. They engaged in counseling sessions, individually and sometimes together, working through the fear, anger, and confusion that lingered long after Lisa was behind bars. The support allowed them to develop coping mechanisms and slowly, painstakingly, to regain a sense of normalcy. Beyond their individual healing journeys, the incident profoundly impacted their approach to personal safety and privacy. They became far more cautious, more discerning about who they allowed into their lives and their personal spaces. They took tangible steps to enhance their security, both within their apartment and in their daily routines. This experience, though horrific, inadvertently transformed them into advocates for personal vigilance, their lives serving as a living testament to the dangers of misplaced trust. The chilling saga of the women terrified after learning roommate's evil secret resonated far beyond the confines of that quiet suburban neighborhood. It quickly became a widely discussed cautionary tale, a stark and urgent reminder of the critical importance of thoroughly vetting individuals before allowing them into one's personal space. In an increasingly interconnected world, where anonymity can be easily cultivated, the story highlighted profound risks inherent in opening one's home and life to strangers, no matter how convincing their initial presentation. The lesson was clear. A casual online search, a few phone calls or references, and even a polite demeanor are sometimes insufficient safeguards against malevolent intent. The case underscored the chilling reality that appearances can be profoundly deceiving. Lisa, the seemingly friendly, well-mannered, and well-referenced individual, was in fact a highly manipulative and dangerous stalker. Her story serves as a powerful testament to the fact that individuals who harbor dark secrets and sinister intentions often excel at camouflage, meticulously crafting personas designed to inspire trust and disarm suspicion. This case urged a heightened sense of vigilance and personal safety, encouraging individuals to trust their instincts, to pay attention to subtle red flags, and to prioritize their well-being above politeness or convenience. It served as a stark call for individuals to conduct more rigorous background checks, to seek multiple forms of verification, and to be more discerning about who they allow into the intimate sphere of their homes and lives. Ultimately, the women's terrifying ordeal, though ending with justice served, left an indelible mark. It stands as a powerful narrative of survival, a testament to their courage in confronting a hidden threat, an enduring warning. It teaches that while community and shared living can offer immense benefits, they also demand an unwavering commitment to personal safety and a keen awareness of potential for hidden dangers. The story of Emily, Sarah, and Jessica is a sobering reminder that vigilance is not merely suggestion. It is a crucial shield in safeguarding oneself against the unseen, unexpected evils that can sometimes lurk just beyond the welcoming facade of familiarity.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more.